Meet Captain Ibrahim Traoré, a new face for African leadership. At 37, Captain Ibrahim Traoré leads Burkina Faso with a pan-Africanist vision. He stepped into power in 2022, drawing comparisons to Thomas Sankara. Traoré emphasizes unity, sovereignty, and breaking free from colonial ties. His message resonates across Africa, inspiring a new generation. Now, let's talk about Traoré's big idea for building his country. He's not interested in massive, flashy projects that don't help anyone. His philosophy is simple. No prestige, only progress. He wants infrastructure that works and improves lives. It's a practical approach. Think about it. What good is a new airport if the roads are terrible? Traoré's vision is about making sure the basics are in place. A school without teachers is an abandoned road. A hospital without power is a lie. A dam that generates no electricity is a statue. Just building a structure isn't enough. It has to function. It has to serve its purpose. Otherwise, it's just a monument to wasted money and broken promises. This focus on functional infrastructure is a game changer. For too long, some development projects in Africa seemed more about making a statement than making a difference. Traoré is saying, let's get real. Let's build roads that farmers can use to get their crops to market. When we talk about building a nation with infrastructure, it's hard not to think about China. Seriously, what China did between 1990 and 2020 is mind-blowing. They went from a largely agrarian society to a global economic superpower. And how did they do it? A huge part of it was their relentless focus on infrastructure. They built roads, railways, ports, power grids, and entire cities at a scale and speed the world had never seen before. It was like a national mission, and everyone was on board. China didn't just build for the sake of building. They built strategically. They understood that good infrastructure is the backbone of a modern economy. If you want factories to produce goods, they need reliable power and transportation to get those goods to market. If you want your population to be productive, they need access to education and healthcare, which also rely on good infrastructure. China connected its vast country, making it easier to move goods, people, and ideas. This created a virtuous cycle of growth and development. Their approach was incredibly practical. They started with the basics and kept adding layers. They built special economic zones with top-notch infrastructure to attract investment. They focused on creating an environment where businesses could thrive. Section 4. Echoes of the Past. Africa's unfinished symphony of development. Now let's be honest. Africa has a complicated history with big infrastructure dreams. For decades, there have been grand plans and ambitious projects. But too often, these dreams turned into what some call white elephants or statues, not systems. You've probably seen the stories or even pictures, gleaming new airport terminals with hardly any flights, wide highways that crumble after a few years because of poor maintenance. Or dams built that never quite generate the promised electricity. It's a frustrating pattern, a kind of unfinished symphony of development. These missed opportunities aren't just about wasted money, though that's a huge part of it. They represent lost time, squandered resources, and eroded public trust. When people see projects start with great fanfare only to stall or fail, it creates cynicism. It makes it harder for them to believe in future promises. Section 5. From blueprints to reality. Traoré's hands-on approach. So, how is Captain Traoré making this practical vision a reality in Burkina Faso? It's not just talk. We're seeing a real hands-on approach. Think about it. Less time spent on grand pronouncements, and more time focused on the actual work. You get the sense that he's interested in the details, in making sure things get done properly. This means focusing on the workers, the equipment, and the day-to-day progress on construction sites. It's about rolling up sleeves and getting dirty, metaphorically and perhaps literally. A key part of this is how he's dealing with contractors and managing projects. The emphasis is on efficiency and results. Meetings are likely less about ceremony and more about deliverables, timelines, and problem-solving. Section 6. The China Model in African Soil. Forging paths to prosperity. Captain Traoré's strategy for Burkina Faso has some interesting parallels with how China engineered its own economic miracle. It's not about blindly copying, but about adapting proven principles. Think about China's focus on creating interconnected systems. They didn't just build isolated projects, they built networks. Traoré's vision seems to embrace this idea, focusing on developing things like trade corridors, energy hubs, and manufacturing parks. These aren't just buzzwords, they are the essential building blocks of a modern productive economy. Trade corridors, for example, are vital. Imagine well-paved roads and efficient railways connecting key agricultural areas to cities and connecting cities to ports or neighboring countries. This makes it cheaper and faster to move goods, which boosts trade and economic activity. Energy hubs are equally critical. Without reliable and affordable electricity, factories can't run efficiently, businesses struggle, and development is hampered. By investing in energy, Traoré is laying the groundwork for industrial growth and improved living standards for everyone. Section 7. A ripple effect. How one nation's change can inspire a continent. The changes happening in Burkina Faso under Captain Traoré aren't just for Burkina Faso. They have the potential to send ripples across West Africa and maybe even the entire continent. When one nation starts to make real, tangible progress, especially by focusing on practical development that benefits its people, other nations take notice. It's like a spark. It can ignite hope and inspire leaders and citizens elsewhere to ask, why not us too? This is the power of a compelling example. We're already seeing some signs of this. Traoré's firm stance on national sovereignty and his pragmatic approach to development have gained attention. His government has been part of forming new regional alliances, like the Alliance of Sahel States with Mali and Niger. These countries are looking for new ways to cooperate, to solve shared problems like security and economic development on their own terms. This suggests a growing desire among some African nations to forge their own paths, learning from each other and supporting common goals. Imagine if this focus on functional infrastructure, roads that last, power that's reliable, industries that create jobs, becomes the norm across the region. This isn't just about bricks, power lines, or factories. It's about building a new legacy, one rooted in self-reliance, dignity, and purpose. If more African nations follow Traoré's example, the continent won't just rise, it will redefine global power dynamics. The blueprint is clear. Now the question is, who will follow it? If this resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe. Because the world needs to see what Africa is building. And you? You're part of that future.